Ethan gazed thoughtfully at the surveillance monitor. His new eatery was barely 6 weeks old, and he lacked the capacity to hire proper security personnel or a dedicated loss prevention team. Naturally, he was fully aware that employees sometimes caused damage. Some did so more often, others less frequently. Theft was a common occurrence. The motivations for it varied widely, but he absolutely could not permit his establishment to suffer a downturn because of such actions. He had been saving funds for its launch for several years. Now, when everything was unfolding even better than anticipated, he watched his kitchen assistant hauling a massive duffel bag toward the exit. Yet, he had only installed the security cameras 4 days prior. Did this imply she had been making these trips for the entire 6 weeks? He rose decisively. Pilfering needed to be nipped in the bud immediately. It was certainly strange. The young woman was quite young. She also didn't strike him as the type. Yet, she must have been incredibly adept at concealing her true nature. The diner would be closing in 30 minutes. The prep worker and front of house manager were always the last to depart. Notably, the kitchen assistant used a separate side door, which the manager secured afterward. However, that exterior door could not be opened from the outside, which explained why the manager was oblivious. They simply didn't accompany that particular employee. Everything was falling into place perfectly for the young woman. He would arrive just in time. Ethan resided only 4 blocks from his restaurant's location. By car, it was just about 10 minutes. He pulled up, turned off his headlights, and began his vigil. Any minute now, the staff member should emerge. Chloe gently adjusted her knit cap. Well, that's it for the night. My little girl behaved well today. Just hold tight a bit longer. Mommy will walk a short distance, and then she'll take you out. Chloe rechecked everything. The small ventilation holes cut into the duffel bag were still clear. Harper was comfortable. Chloe had fed her 30 minutes ago, so the infant should be deeply asleep. She fully grasped that this was wrong. If anyone discovered this deception, Chloe's daughter could simply be taken away, but she saw no alternative. Chloe's milk supply had vanished immediately after the birth. Infant formula costs were so high that her public assistance checks only covered 2 weeks' supply. Add to that the costs of diapers and utility bills. The young mother was lost for a long time until she learned about a new restaurant opening and the recruitment of staff. When she arrived for the interview, she still hadn't figured out how she could possibly fulfill the duties. She desperately required employment, but her neighbor had warned her she could only watch Harper no more than twice a week. Even then, Chloe would have to clean the neighbor's house in exchange for the favor. When Chloe saw the area where she would be working and realized she would be the sole prep worker for the time being, a scheme formed in her mind. It was so completely improbable and fraught with risk that Chloe was momentarily stunned. But then, she resolved to try it. Harper was 6 weeks old when Chloe first brought her to work. Her baby was so exceptionally quiet that she simply lay still, sleeping soundly, in the back pantry where the reserve dishes were stored. There was plenty of room there and adequate lighting, and Chloe consistently maintained its cleanliness. Chloe had been orphaned when she was just a child. She lived with her grandmother. Her guardian was a highly imaginative soul. Practical matters such as domestic upkeep held absolutely no interest for the elderly woman. Since the age of 11, Chloe had managed all the household responsibilities herself. Jason instantly captivated her. She didn't just fall in love, she was utterly infatuated. Her grandmother had passed away a year earlier, and the young woman promptly suggested Jason move into her apartment with her. He agreed without hesitation. However, as soon as he discovered Chloe was pregnant, he vanished without a trace, taking the few small valuables the unit contained. Chloe never reported him to the police, feeling such profound embarrassment that she actively avoided leaving the building. She was nearly recovered. Everything might have stabilized had those individuals not approached her. They aggressively pressured her to sell her residence. She had no intention of selling anything, but they warned her that she might accidentally be hit by a delivery truck on the street, leaving her baby an orphan. Her milk disappeared completely the very same day. It was then that Chloe understood the real struggle was just beginning. The job proved to be her ultimate lifeline. Paychecks arrived every Friday. She didn't have to worry about securing food, and it was enough to sustain them. Chloe consciously avoided dwelling on what would happen when Harper reached 4 or 5 months old. She kept telling herself she was tough, she was capable, and she would succeed. Although, lately, she had grave doubts about her resilience and intelligence. Chloe gingerly placed the duffel bag down, locked the door, turned around, and came face to face with the establishment's proprietor. Oh, ah. He mimicked her startled sound. Show me what you're hauling in that bag. Stealing on this scale, no business could withstand it. Chloe positioned herself defensively in front of the bag. I have never taken anything. You should be ashamed of yourself. You think I should be ashamed. Not you, but me. He chuckled briefly. Then his expression turned serious. Show me what you're carrying in that bag, or I'm calling the city police. Chloe sighed heavily. There was no point in resisting, especially since Harper had begun to stir inside the duffel. She knelt, unzipped the bag, and Ethan gasped audibly. A baby. Where did that come from? Is that your child? You've been working with a baby here. Chloe quickly lifted Harper into her arms. Am I terminated? Wait a moment. What are you? Don't jump to conclusions. Let me give you a ride home. Do you live far from here? No, just right around this corner. Well then, I'll walk you. Hand over that damn duffel bag right now. Ethan immediately realized that Chloe was not bringing an infant to work out of a casual preference. He himself went through an extremely difficult period growing up with alcoholic parents. If he hadn't been taken away from them, who knows, he might have followed in their footsteps. They reached the apartment, but Ethan didn't even think about retreating. He went up to the right floor with Chloe, and when the girl looked at him expressively, he said, I would like a cup of herbal tea. Chloe shrugged her shoulders. She doesn't mind the tea. Well, don't kick him out now. And suddenly, although not, he wouldn't let her work with the child anyway. She quickly changed Harper's clothes and made her some sleeping mixture, just to make her fall asleep. She had only recently eaten, and then she went into the kitchen, where Ethan was already making tea. He looked at her cheerfully. I've been doing a bit of work here. Chloe sat up and realized how exhausted she was. Not even physically, but mentally. All this tension, they'll find out, they won't find out, they'll fire, they won't fire. And she didn't realize how suddenly she burst into tears. Oh my God, what am I supposed to do now? Ethan sat down opposite her and pushed the mug towards her. Well, now tell me. What? She looked at him in surprise. That's it. From the very beginning. I was born, studied, and so on in order. Chloe spoke up. She talked, sometimes sipping tea. She talked and understood how unhappy she was. That's all she has. Not like all people. Everything is going awry. But she didn't know the answer. Ethan wasn't looking at her while she was talking. He wanted to cry himself, because he had come to know the unfairness of life to the fullest. So that's it. Stay at home for a couple of days. I'll call someone to replace him. And in these 2 days, we need to come up with something. Us. Well, I can't leave you in this situation, especially since you washed the dishes perfectly. Okay, I will go. Good night. He got up quickly and left. Chloe didn't even have time to thank him. She sat for a while longer and went to lock the door. There were several large bills on the bedside table in the hallway. Chloe leaned against the wall and started crying again. The next day, she still had to change one banknote. Harper has a fever. The pediatrician called prescribed medications and vitamin supplements. The young mother had no choice but to quickly run to the pharmacy while Harper was asleep. Fortunately, it was necessary to get only to the neighboring building. She had just closed the door behind her when the doorbell rang. My heart started pounding. She thought it was Ethan. Chloe took a quick look in the mirror and opened the door. She immediately tried to close it, but was prevented by the foot of a young man who was smiling at her boldly. Well, hello, single mom. Why are you so bad at welcoming guests? He pushed it aside and entered the apartment. Another man and a girl came with him. They settled down at the table in a masterly manner, and the girl began to lay out some papers on the table. Well, that's it. You've thought about it. I thought about it. Get out. Otherwise, I'll call the cops. Well, call me, and we'll see. Just keep in mind, you're signing your own sentence with the police. Think about the baby. Chloe gasped with indignation. Who are you? What you need. I will not sell any apartment. You will. It's just that with every day of your persistence, your property is getting cheaper for you. So the sooner you agree, the more money you'll get. The young man named the amount, and Chloe laughed, even though she was very scared. You're kidding. This is the cost of one bathroom in this residential complex. He chuckled. And after a couple of days, you'll agree anyway, only you'll get even less. Get out. I'm not going to sell anything. He moved towards her. Chloe shrank, but then the young man jumped strangely and collapsed to the floor. Ethan was standing behind him. He turned to the people at the table to explain to someone else that the house is not for sale. The guests quickly disappeared, and Ethan turned to her. Why didn't you tell me about them? I didn't know they would come again. Chloe looked so scared. His heart sank. So gentle, so defenseless. Get ready. Where? Where you need to go. He barked so loudly that Chloe immediately burst into tears. Sorry. Come to my place. I'm hardly ever at home anyway. You'll be safer there for now. The devil knows what these scoundrels will do next. Chloe obediently went to pack her things. 15 minutes later, they were leaving the apartment. A neighbor looked out onto the landing. Chloe. Dad didn't show up, so now I don't have to sit with Harper. That's it, and you won't come to clean anymore. Ethan smiled at her affectionately, very affectionately, baring his snow-white teeth. That's right. Now you'll have to clean up after yourself. The neighbor slammed the door in fright. Not a man, but some kind of beast, and Chloe managed to get in touch with such a person. Although, I think someone else went to see her. She waved her hand. The devil take them apart. Young people nowadays are like that. It's better not to get involved. Harper was looking at a large apartment. It's beautiful here. It's now. You should have seen it when you first bought it. Just the walls. Everything is broken. By the way, this will be your room. He opened the door. Chloe noticed a man's bathrobe and slippers. This is your room. Don't yell at me, not at work. It's big and warm, so you'll live here, and I'll move into that one. He pointed to a door on the other side. It's kind of uncomfortable. It is inconvenient to sleep on the ceiling. You make yourself comfortable, I'll be right there. Ethan has gone somewhere. Chloe put her things away, then went to the kitchen for a drink of water. There are a lot of dirty mugs in the sink. It looks like Ethan is only drinking coffee at home. She washed the dishes and looked in the refrigerator. An hour later, ruddy cutlets were already stewing on the stove, potatoes were boiling in a saucepan, and Chloe was slicing salad, smiling at Harper, who was lying on the kitchen sofa, propped up by pillows. The door slammed. Ethan stumbled into the kitchen, sweating. I sniffed. I'm so hungry. Come on, hurry up. Chloe grabbed Harper in her arms and followed him. There was a brand new cradle and a stroller in the hallway. And there are several more bags in the cradle, probably with clothes. Ouch. What are you? I do not have that kind of money. I do not know when I will be able to give it back. Ethan smiled. Strange women are creatures. Who's asking you to give it back? After dinner, Chloe and Ethan began to rearrange. Ethan was fooling around, and Chloe was laughing. Even Harper, who was lying on the big bed, was trying to mumble something in her own language. Chloe didn't sleep last night. Ethan didn't sleep either. He suddenly realized that he was feeling so good right now. He's not alone in the house. Ethan propped himself up on one elbow. Well, it will take some time, and Chloe will want to return to her own place. She's like that. He doesn't want someone else's, and he knew perfectly well that he didn't want her to leave. In the morning at breakfast, Ethan casually said, "We need to get married." The knife fell out of Chloe's hands and bounced loudly on the floor. What? What? We need to get married. Harper needs a father, and you need protection. Chloe stared at him with huge eyes. I never thought that offers could be like this. Ethan lowered his fork and looked at her. Well, what could he say to her? That he fell in love like a fool with a woman with a child who was washing dishes in his restaurant. He tried to find the right words, but Chloe suddenly reached across the table and kissed him. Gently, gently. Ethan felt like he'd been electrocuted. He pulled her away from him. He picked up the phone. You can handle it there without me. I have an important meeting. I won't be here today. The dishwasher. Yes, look for a new one. Chloe won't be coming out anymore.